Don't waste your life away. Take the leap of faith. You never know what's on the other side. There's no reason to be afraid. You can always go back to where you are, but if you never take a leap forward, you'll never know what is there. Reflect on death and impermanence. Don't make it something that is taboo and morbid. It will happen. How can we reflect on that process? And how can that reflecting on that inform how we live more consciously, more mindfully, more compassionately, more kindly? Don't be afraid of living. That is what will help us to not be afraid of dying. So where do we begin? I'm Chelsea, by the way. If you're new here, and if you've been here, welcome back. I've had a very interesting life. I'm 31 years old now. And when I was 15, 14 years old, my mother died. So this was like my first encounter with death, facing it directly and not knowing what to do. So I remember at that time, it's so interesting because I look back at this version of me that felt like it was impossible to overcome that level of suffering. And now I'm holding her so tenderly in my arms, and I'm grateful for resilience. So when I was around 14 years old, my mother was living in Haiti. She died from breast cancer. And I remember she called the house. My father called the house where I was living in the US. And they said, I have to come to Haiti immediately. It's an emergency. And then I got to Haiti, and my mother, she was laying in the bed. And it's so interesting because I felt like this, reflecting back now, there was like this disembodiment, or I couldn't understand what was going on. It's very difficult to process death as a 15-year-old child, as a 14-year-old child, as you can imagine. So then my mother, she looked at me and she was like, oh, kunyam ka ale. So in my language, that means that I can die now. And then she died the next morning. So as you could imagine, this little girl, like, I don't know how this version of myself actually processed this. And I watched it happen at the age of 15 years old. And then I went back to the US. And as you know, in the Western world, though we obsess about death through movies and music, we never actually talk about it. We never talk about it. We never prepare for it. We live as if it will never happen, though it's the only thing that is certain. So then it was difficult. I went through a lot of trauma, not knowing that that's what I was going through. I never spoke about it, but that was such a pivotal, necessary moment in my life, because I feel like had I not gone through that, I would have wasted the next 40 years of my life. I would have wasted my life away doing things that are expected of me, working jobs that drain me, for getting more degrees just for the accolade, and climbing this never-ending ladder into nowhere just to end up in the grave. And that experience of death at such a young age gave me my first insight into impermanence. All things must go. All things must change. Everyone must die, including me. And after I went through that, I had this crippling fear of anxiety. What if this happens to me? What if this happens to me? What if this happens to me? And I was asking the wrong question the whole time. The right question would have been, when this happens to me, because I absolutely will die, will I be ready? to face that experience. I remember like I traveled to India and I was speaking to like this monk, and even monks, they're like different tiers of where they are in their journey. But I remember like asking him, I feel this crippling anxiety about dying, about maybe also getting breast cancer myself, because that's how my mother died. And then his response was something along the lines of, whatever you focus on will expand, like a very generic. But then it's not until I met my teacher from Tibet in India later on that we actually started having real conversations about how brief and impermanent this life journey is. That no matter what you do, whether you're black, white, purple, orange, male, female, rich, poor, you have to die. And not too long ago, I did a retreat on impermanence. It was about 5 days. I was in the room. I got instructions from my teacher. My husband just brought all my meals like to the door, and I wept like a baby. And this is at the age of 31 years old. So of course, we cognitively we know that we will die, but to actually like sit with that and to reflect on not only me but all of the people that I love. This is the nature of life. For everything there is a season to live, a season to die. And all composite things are impermanent. They will change. And I reflected on when I was 2 years old, when I was in my mother's womb, when I was 2 years old, when I was 5, when I was 14, 15, and really saw this subtle impermanence. Because it's interesting, because without taking that time to reflect on where was the body, where was the mind, where was this person, where is this person, like from 15 years ago? I'm a completely different person. I have a completely different body. It's changed. And as we walk towards the grave, as we get older, as we age, as we get sick, and as we move towards the dying process, we can look and suddenly we're there without that reflection. It's like, damn, when did I turn? I look at myself sometimes and I'm like, I was absolutely, just the other day, I was 15 years old going through the grieving process of my mother. How am I 31 years old? It happens so incredibly fast. So without that conscious reflection of impermanence, we walk through life already dead, doing things that we don't want to do, working jobs that drain us because we have to. At least that's what they tell us. Postponing our dreams of dancing, singing, writing, creating until one day. When does one day come? It never comes. Postponing our meditation practice, our mindfulness practice, our reflection on impermanence. The procrastination is rooted in not recognizing how brief this journey is. I actually recognized that. I had this insight that, oh, we procrastinate. I procrastinate because I don't think, I haven't fully embodied that I am not here forever. And and when it really hits, there's certain things that you just don't do anymore. So my mortality, recognizing from a very young age that, wow, like my mother died, my father died, and I'm like, damn, this is going to happen to me too. How can I live a life where when that happens, not if, but when that happens, that I don't have as many regrets? So maybe this is something we can reflect on. And honestly, even if you're older, old is relative, right? Like even if you're older, like towards the end of your life, it doesn't matter. It's never too late to contemplate on, how do I have to live starting right now so that when it's time for me to die, that it doesn't feel so hard to let go, that I can just like, yeah, it's been a good ride. I'm ready to move on. So for me, that when I did that reflection, I recognized that I won't waste my life chasing money. You can never take that to the grave. No matter how rich you are, no matter how hard you've worked, every material possession done, it stays right here. Cannot take it with you. Number two, when I think of a legacy now, I don't think of legacy as what material wealth can I leave behind. But my legacy is all of the things that I've said, all of the things that I've written, my speech, how I interacted with others, those imprints, you can never take them back. So how can I live a life that is more mindful, more kind, more compassionate, more intentional? So my body, speech, mind, action, what can I do to have some sort of autonomy, some sort of authority, some sort of control over these things so that I can choose my legacy? I also started thinking about what is the best usage of this limited time that I have here? Should I spend it trying to impress others, living in a country where I feel completely disconnected, living in a community where I don't feel seen? Would I spend it like planning my life and hoping for one day? One day it never comes. So I started thinking about like urgency. Not urgency as in like rushing with a sense of panic, but a sense of like, if I can do it today, why would I wait to do it tomorrow? And of course, it's not always easy because we're, you know, again, the procrastination is rooted in thinking that we absolutely will wake up tomorrow. Like if we knew that there's a possibility that we might not be here, not even tomorrow, later on this evening, I feel like we would live in such a different way. And as I'm saying this, like, this is also a reminder for myself. Whenever I feel scared to do something, it's like, what do I really have to lose? What's the worst thing that could happen if I just take this leap of faith? Whenever I feel myself like wanting to be unkind to someone, I ask the same question. What's the worst thing that could happen? That memory will live on in that person forever. That really matters. So how can I be more kind? How can I be more compassionate? How can I stop waiting? How can I like love fully? How can I like all the words that are trapped inside me and my potential for kindness? How can I just allow it to come through me because it matters? How can I be more childlike and receptive to things that can change my life? Whether that's like religion or spirituality or something beyond the material world, how can I be more open and immersive? How can I humble myself more so that I can really fully embrace all of the wisdom around me? Because when we think that we won't die, I imagine that the receptivity to learning something new is also not there. I just imagine myself just dying with the information and the knowledge and the wisdom that I have and just circulating my own mind around my own mind. Knowing that I will die, I want to find as many reliable guides and teachers as possible that I can learn from, where I can truly grow, recognizing that I don't know anything. And there are people who really understand the path. And can you imagine that on the topic of death, I always thought like on my spiritual journey that spirituality was about discovering something about myself that I can create and discover from my own mind. This is I'm gonna try to be clear. I hope you can grasp what I'm saying. I always thought spirituality was about something that I had to make up through my own intellect and my own thinking. And it's true that part of the spiritual journey is our own individual evolvement. But I realized that so much of the information that we need to be happy, to die peacefully, to understand the dying process, to be prepared for it, it's already written. It's already documented from spiritual teachers who have done this lifetimes and lifetimes after lifetime. So this is why I study. And it's very difficult to study because, again, because we're not constantly thinking about the fact that we will die, there is a tendency I have to waste my time on mundane, impermanent things rather than actually diving deeper. What is beyond this material and very impermanent material world? What is it that I can learn that can prepare me for whatever is next? And there is more to death than just disappearing, if you know what I mean. So, the main takeaways from this video is don't waste your life away. Take the leap of faith. You never know what's on the other side. There's no reason to be afraid. You can always go back to where you are, but if you never take a leap forward, you'll never know what is there. Reflect on death and impermanence. Don't make it something that is taboo and morbid. It will happen. How can we reflect on that process? And how can that reflecting on that inform how we live more consciously, more mindfully, more compassionately, more kindly? Don't be afraid of living. And because that is what will help us to not be afraid of dying. And not just living like going out there in YOLO, but taking advantage of this human birth. It's never too late to take advantage of this human birth, no matter how old you are. And it's never too early to start taking full advantage of this human birth, no matter how young you are. The chances of being human and being born in a human body, from my understanding and studies, is very unlikely, very unusual, very abnormal. So even if you had one more day left to live, how can you release your inhibitions and embrace how lucky we are to be in this human body? It's truly a miracle of a lifetime to be alive, and don't waste your life away doing things that you don't like. Don't waste your life away being bitter about things that happened in the past. Don't waste your life away not forgiving and not letting go. Don't waste your life away not forgiving yourself for the things that you've done. It's okay, we're human, we make mistakes. You can always start over. Starting now. Just have to forgive yourself and trust yourself. I find that when we are not conscious about the fact that life is impermanent, we live it people pleasing, thinking about what other people think of us. Those people will also die. It doesn't matter what they think. Don't compare yourself. Don't compare your wisdom and your knowledge. You are enough. You are enough. You know what you know. So maybe taking the road less traveled takes courage, because it then goes against everything, every expectation that people have of you. But have the courage to embark on the path that you know is right, that you intuitively know is right. So even if people tell you work, 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 this is bad, this is good, this is unrealistic, this is spirituality, it doesn't make sense, it's not rational. when we die, let's it's irrational to die. Like that whole process in itself is irrational. So whatever you have to do so that at that moment of death you feel like, okay, I'm at peace to go. Do that. Trust yourself. Find a reliable teacher. Study the authentic Dharma. Reflect, meditate, and be kind to yourself. You're doing a really good job. And thank you so much for being alive at the same time as me. And I hope this video finds you at the right time. Namaste.